I think that what we have been doing here at Hope Central is we have been transforming ourselves from a people who hope to be successful and white and degreed, who hope that the magic ending will come, who hope that if we only behave ourselves correctly and whitely, what has promised that could be ours will come. I think that we have been about this at Hope Central for a really long time. It might be because I'm a really slow learner. And maybe we can only go at the pace of the spiritual leader. But I have been slow to trust and slow to hope because I didn't know what trust or hope looked like. I think I'm not alone because I know of you and your stories that are so much like my own. That you and I have spent our lives throwing ourselves up against the wall of what did not love us and sliding down. And our energies and our dignities have been misappropriated by bullies and empire. In the absence of trust in bullies, we have been looking about for what it is that we might trust instead. Something that was sufficiently glorious and big to occupy us, to give ourselves to receive from. And here is the end of my sermon at the very beginning. I will tell you that the trust which gives us hope is the trust that lives inside the light inside us, the light inside me that is combined with the light inside you, which allows us to get up every morning, that it's possible to go on. This, it turns out, is the deepest spiritual thing that we know and can do, and that will lead us to the heart of God. Now I'll back up. We who have been raised in the United States, regardless of our race, our class, have been bred on promises that were codified in Disney. We've spoken of this quite a lot. That were codified in the promise that if we gave ourselves over to what the bully wants, what empire wants, we could find ourselves safe. We could hedge ourselves against what comes at us that we don't even want to see. We have hoped in things that were not even about us. They told us that if we were born with a blue eye, we'd get what we need, but some of us don't have the possibility of the bluest eye. We only have the possibility of the brown eyes that we got. from our ancestors. Some of us will never make it to high finance. Some of us will never climb the ladder to success. Some of us will never be allowed this place. But it is what white supremacy and whiteness has taught all of us, every one of us in pews and in homes. And so our energy has been misappropriated on behalf of the bully. And so we have wondered, where will we go to find a hope that is true? A hope that is viable, a hope that will not betray us as we have been betrayed before. And so I have turned again to Judaism, to a kernel of what Judaism is and can be for us, we who have inherited Judaism as a spiritual path, sometimes corrupted by Christianity. A nugget for us, and that is this. The first words out of God's mouth, as it were, in the beginning scripture of Genesis is, let there be light. Let there be land, let there be heavens, let there be seas, let there be fish and fowl, let there be. And when God appears to Moses at the burning bush, Moses has the audacity to ask God, what is your name? And God said, I am becoming what I am. And this is the kernel of hope in Judaism. A sustained struggle against the world that is in the name of, that names what the world could be, should be, but is not yet. Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, the chief rabbi of the United Kingdom, says, this is the greatest, and there is no more challenging vocation. To look for a hope in what could be, what would be, but is not yet. I turned to the black preachers and theologians, because our folks who have come out of slavery have learned how to find a hope when there is no hope to be found from the slave master, the patty roller, the legal system, the education system, the medical system. So we turn to Sister Elaine Brown Crawford, who wrote Hope and Holler, a womanist theology. And she defines hope as a foundational source to survive oppression, inhumanity, and justice. She says that hope is a theological construct that moves women and men, I would add, and all of us who have been victimized beyond endurance to survive and ultimately towards the transformation of oppressive circumstances. Hope, she says, is the bridge from oppression to liberation that facilitates full humanity and fosters an undaunted passion for life. The holler, she writes, is a cry to God, come see about me. Come see about me, oh God. Come see about my people. Come see what we have suffered and struggled through. Come and see me so that I can be repaired. Oh God, offer me a glimmer of hope so that I can begin to lay trust upon trust upon trust, so that I can see my glorious greatness that you have provided in the spirit of my being, that allows me to get up in the morning, even when my child is not in his bed, that allows me to get up in the morning, even when my husband is dead, that allows me to get up in the morning when I have been dashed against white supremacy again, that allows me to get up in the morning when I don't know how to go on. This is hope, my friends. It is not a hope that we own alone, not just me, but we. Not just our black and brown folks, but all of us who have given ourselves to what has not saved us. This is the hope that can rise up from this building, from every pew and every heart, to practice the work of repair for the sake of trust, so that we may have hope in this weary world. And the fact is, beloved ones, that this kind of trust and hope accrues to us. That is, it opens the place of light in our hearts. Maybe only dimly at first. Maybe only we consign the light and we put a little glass globe around it just in case we might get burned by it. Just a little spark in us. But it accrues in us. It gets a little bigger as we're able to trust the light in us, until our insides of our mind and our body and our spirit begin to light up. We come and we sit in the pew, we go to work, we sit at the table at our family dining room, we go to the store and we take our little light with us, and it accrues not just to us but to everyone that we meet and touch. This little light of mine is also your little light. In the past, I have mistrusted Christmas and its celebration, not because I disdain joy or the receiving of presents or the gathering of us all here in the congregation with our lights while we sing Silent Night and a relative of this family sings Oh Holy Night. But I have been distrustful because it pointed us to something that we didn't really belong to or want to be a part of. And that's the glorification of whiteness. But this Christmas is different for me. This Christmas, I see that the light has come as the light of hope. The light of hope in me, the light of hope in us, the practice of hope that we will do together because we're able to struggle together, because we're able to offer and receive repair, little by little accruing trust, which turns into hope. I have such hope for us this year. I believe in us this year. The Christ child is coming with light, and we have the capacity to recognize that light. Oh, beloved, I don't know whether we'll be lighting candles at home or in the sanctuary or both places this year. But we could set the world on fire for love.